We are 22S Radio, the next wave of K-Beach. 22S Radio is 22smedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3 Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome everyone to the Golden Spotlight. I'm your host Rob Flores here, broadcasting live at California State University, Long Beach. At this time, I would like my guest to please introduce himself.
Hello everyone, my name is Jose Espinoza.
Great. So, for those that are tuning in for the first time, this show is like a biography show. Pretty much it's an interview show where each week is a different guest and they get their life story. So at this time, I'd like you to talk about, early childhood, life growing up.
Yes, let me start off that I actually originally I'm from Mexico, and I was born in 1979, and my family and I immigrated to this country in 1980, and so essentially I'm the oldest child in my family, and my brother is 1 year old, and I have two sisters, and obviously a mom and a dad, and so we're pretty much a huge family. I have family throughout the Boston area, Florida. Most of my family is in Mexico, and pretty much I had a normal childhood. The only thing about my childhood is that I was actually born with a disability. I was actually born with glaucoma, so I essentially had eyesight throughout my life, and I used to have vision, but I lost my vision in 1997. I was 17 years old in high school at the time.
So how early were you aware of the diagnosis?
Not so much. I probably was aware of my disability like in my high school age, when my parents told me that I had a disability.
How did you cope with that?
At first it was pretty difficult to adjust to life, but once you get used to it, it's not so hard to adjust. You have to learn how to trust people. When I lost my eyesight, I essentially learned how to read Braille and use adaptive technology, to do schoolwork or whatever I need to do, or use the internet, etc.
So like in early childhood, like especially like elementary, middle school, were you experiencing certain types of like side effects? Like what exactly was the condition?
Again, the condition that I had was glaucoma. I was nearsighted, so that meant that I had to be close enough to be able to see someone or read something, either like a sign or something like at a window shop or some sort of display. Again, I had to be close enough to be able to see it or read, any text,
So were you already like wearing glasses like really young? Or?
Funny enough that at the time the doctors did subscribe me to some glasses to wear, but I really wasn't into wearing glasses, for whatever reason I just wasn't into wearing glasses. But Yeah, I used to, wear glasses.
Um, did your parents ever, were they protective of, like, let's say, for example, if you wanted to go and play, like, during elementary and stuff?
Um, they were what you call helicopter parents. Yes, they were very protective, but not too protective that they didn't allow me to go outside and play. You know, I do remember as a young child when I was in school that we had recess, and honestly, I played with the other students who had visual impairment. You gotta understand that I didn't really go through like a normal education or school. I for the most part of my education, I always have been in special ed, meaning that I always have interacted with other students who have visual impairment. So,
Oh, okay. So was the curriculum a little different? Like, were they already trying to teach you, like, the Braille, or did you learn, like, a little after?
yeah, it was somewhat different because, you know, keep in mind, I didn't lose my eyesight as a young child. I did lose my eyesight as a teenager. So in high school, I was taught well. Even before I lost my eyesight, I used to have a teacher in high school that was actually visually impaired himself, and I don't know why he wanted to teach me well, but I get the sense that he had a feeling that I was gonna lose my eyesight. So he just thought that, well, you know, it would be a good thing for you to read and write well and learn how to read and write well. So,
Was it difficult?
um, you know, it's different for each person, but personally for me, reading and writing well was difficult at first. I would say for me it took probably a few months to a year to learn. But once you are able to get familiar and how to read and write well, you get used to it.
And, so in middle school, and in elementary, like, did you have particular interests, like art or anything like that?
Yeah, of course. I used to do extracurricular activities. They taught me how to swim. I always have been a fan of swimming. I used to, be a part of physical education classes. We did amateur volleyball. We did a little basketball. We did some croquet. Just your basic things that you do in physical education.
We'll be right back after this quick break.
Affordable, professional, and located on the second floor of the USU. Electric Hair has all of your nail
Nice
and hair
work,
needs
Jose.
covered.
Very nice.
For an
I'm sorry?
appointment,
Nice
call
work.
562
Oh,
Very nice,
958 4522. That's 562-958-4522.
Do you do,
I'm sorry?
I was talking to
Oh, okay.
Rob, you do it on top of the hour, at 10 o'clock? I mean,
Okay.
1:10?
What? Yeah,
Your
well, I
break?
just, at any point, as long as they're played, the 2 commercial breaks, I just write down
Gotcha.
when I did it.
Work abroad is allowed. The education abroad options include academic day program, summer and winter sessions, and semester program. Study abroad office.
Sometimes I just like to knock them out the way so I can focus on the interview better.
Yeah.
Because I'm like distracted also at the same time, like looking for the commercial, the public service announcement,
Mhm.
the promo. So at the same time, I'm like monitoring also if there's any incoming comments.
Find joy in the simplicity of the moment, right here right now.
So that's why my show is never scripted. It's like all winging
Tune
it.
into a
And I
mindful
rely
moment
on the guests. Like
22 West Radio
I go with the flow of the
Wednesdays
person's
at 8
story.
p.m., where we bring awareness to the present.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Golden Spotlight. I'm your host, Rob Flores, and we are here broadcasting at California State University, Long Beach. And we are back here with my guest. So, you were mentioning that you were into, extracurricular activities and so forth. The transition from each school, like elementary to middle and middle to high school, what was that like for you?
I would say that it wasn't too difficult, especially when it came to, making new friends. Because again, I was in special education throughout my schooling or throughout my education. Of course, you have your usual change of environment or location. And also, you would get new teachers to get to know of, but for the most part, it was a pretty smooth transition.
What about to high school? Do you think it was like significantly different though? Like especially like I think like in elementary we have like maybe just one teacher, and then in middle school we kind of experience what it's like to have more than one teacher, and then in high school like there's different periods. Like what was that like for you?
Very different, especially because in high school I was integrated to the other students. What I mean by this is that I was integrated with the students who were non-disabled, and I would attend, like any other normal class, like the rest of the students. And honestly, the instructors expected me to complete assignments and work, but with reasonable accommodations. And I try to work with them, and they try to work with me. So
It's cool. What was that like? Getting the opportunity to be with among your peers, and aside from just disabled students at the same time.
it was refreshing because I had the opportunity to make friends from both communities, and the disabled community and non-disabled community. I find that I tend to be drawn to those who are more sighted than those who are visually impaired. But as long as a person wants to be my friend, I'll become their friends, and just I'm pretty open when it comes to creating friendships with students,
Mm-hmm. Cool. What would you say is was your favorite subjects in high school?
My favorite subject in high school was physical education, due to the fact that I just like to do physical activities. It doesn't matter if it was swimming, basketball, or some other form of exercise. I just always look forward to physical education classes.
Cool. Did you ever try to join a team also?
No, I wasn't really into joining sports teams or nothing like that, but I was introduced to the idea of joining clubs on campus. I believe in high school I joined the Spanish club and the Key Club, which is the Honor Society club on campus. So that was my first time being introduced to, joining clubs on campus. And from there, I just started to be active in campus life throughout my community college years and up to now.
You mentioned Mexico also. Did you get to from like how old were you like when you came here and stuff?
I couldn't exactly tell you what age I came. I can just only say that I was a baby when I immigrated to this country. So.
And as far as like, what were your parents like? Did they get to like help you with like homework as far as like was there language barriers as well?
Oh yes, that was a big main central problem was the language barrier. So they couldn't really help me with a lot of the homework assignments at home, but I did most of my homework assignments at school, or I attempted to ask for help from my siblings,
Mm-hmm.
but for the most part, I didn't really that much ask my parents because, again, the language barrier.
And what was it like growing up with siblings?
Pretty normal, pretty normal childhood. We would just, I would, have fights or make up with my brother, or same thing with my sisters, and we would just go out as a family, to the park or to the movies or what have you, but I got along with my siblings pretty well.
And so when you were experiencing, your conditioning progressing, what was your family's reactions and stuff? How did they help you also with all this?
I would say my family was very understanding, and they helped a lot, especially when it came to, dinner time or what have you. They would, especially my parents, they would let me know, where the meat was, where the vegetables were, and where the rice at, and they also, cut my food for me, and and especially my mom was a really big help when it came to helping me choose my clothes and what to wear, for school at times, and just your basic assistance and just help around the house,
So you mentioned 17, right?
Yes, 17.
Were you already, did you already graduate or?
No, I haven't. At that time, I still hadn't graduated from high school because at the time when I was in high school, when I lost my eyesight and 17 years old, I was actually in Boston, Massachusetts for 2 years. But after those 2 years, we actually came back to live in California, and my graduation, I actually graduated from a high school called Temple City High School here in California, and I graduated in 2000. So
And did you get to participate also in like senior activities towards senior year?
Not so much like prom dances or grand night or nothing like that. Just because I didn't really have anyone to ask to go out, or I just didn't have the finances to go to prom dance or what have you. So I was pretty much a shy guy. So I was pretty shy in asking a girl out on a date or to the prom. So.
Did you get to participate in like stuff to like kind of break out of your shell a little, or?
Trying to remember. No, not so much. Again, I was pretty shy back then, but eventually I started to go out of my shyness when I entered my college years, like junior college, so.
We'll be right back after this quick break.
Tired of the same old thing? At Subway, you can try a different sub sandwich every day with the Subway Sub of the Day meal deal. Visit Subway in
An
the
interesting
USA
life,
today.
Jose. Saying you have an interesting life.
Students on CSU campuses experience food insecurity while in college. According to a study commissioned by CSU Chairman Timothy White, the Associated Student Beach Pantry operates as an official food pantry for Long Beach State.
So how am I doing so far?
You're doing great. I was just saying you have
Thank
a
you.
really interesting life.
Also housed in
Fascinating.
the pantry is the Student Swap Shop program, aimed at providing students with an opportunity to swap unneeded or old supplies.
I hope the students who are listening are being inspired.
Yeah, well, I know I am.
Yeah.
So.
Corporate giving. To donate, visit asicsulv.org and search Beach Pantry.
Got the penchant for finding new music? Come join us, Angie and Gary, on the Spare on the Beat every Wednesday at 7 p.m. for fresh finds, old favorites, and everything that revolves around the DIY closing in Southern California and beyond, only on 22 West Radio.
Interested in stories and messages in media? Tune into Behind the Narrative, Mondays at 5 p.m., where we break apart everything from music videos to advertisements to creative art on YouTube in order to understand the meaning behind the content we consume. What elements best convey the message? Why do audiences react the way they do? How is the message conceptualized? We'll be asking these questions along with many more to get Behind the Narrative, Mondays at 5 p.m. at 22westmedia.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Golden Spotlight. I'm your host, Rob Flores, here broadcasting live from California State University, Long Beach. Now, I'm back here with my guest.
Hello, everyone.
Before we continue, obviously, you're just tuning in. Once again, could my guest can introduce himself?
Yes, again, my name is Jose Espinoza. I'm a CSULV student, and I'm very thankful to be on the radio today and share my testimony.
Cool. So, senior year can be a time of reflection, and I was wondering, sometimes that's when people ask themselves, well, what am I gonna do next? What school do I want to go to? What major do I want? Did you change your mind a couple times? What was that like, the transition after high school?
So after high school, I essentially ended up going to a community college in Whittier, which is called Rio Hondo College. And at Rio Hondo College, I mainly focused on completing my general education, your usual English, reading, math courses that you need to transfer to your university. And at the time, I was still debating what major I want to major in. At first, I was considering majoring in political science because I'm a political junkie and I watch a lot of news stations and I follow the elections, etc. So I was really interested in political science, but then since I am a fluent Spanish speaker, I was considering majoring in Spanish, looking into becoming either a translator or a tutor. But apparently I was told that you really had to be quick if you want to be a translator or a tutor. You can't really, think about what you're going to say. So ultimately, I ended up deciding to do religious studies, and that's what I concluded that I'm going to do religious studies when I entered university. And once that I was done at Rio Hondo and I completed all my general ed and I graduated from Rio Hondo in 2015 of spring, I ultimately transferred to Cal State Long Beach in fall semester 2015, and that's when I started taking courses for my major.
So, what would you say, back forwarding, in community college, the experience, did you get to start off with friends? Did you know anybody at the school that you started at?
Yes, I started to make friends at community college, especially one particular friend that I am still in contact with him. His name is Christian Gutierrez, and him and I eventually decided to start a organization on campus called the Catholic Newman Club, which is a Catholic ministry and university and college campuses. And I thought to myself, there's a lot of Christian groups on campus. Why don't we have Catholic groups that reach out to the young adult Catholic community on campus? So I just thought of starting like a similar organization, and time to time I started to visit the Newman meetings here at Cal State Long Beach to try to get ideas that I could integrate in our own ministry at Rio Hondo.
Cool. How did you, I think that's also the thing that, is so admiring that, on top of, balancing school, you managed to also, get involved on campus. I know that there are some students that, they'll, go to class and then they'll go straight home. But tell us how you got motivated to, for extracurricular activities, getting involved on campus as well.
Well, there was one particular teacher in high school that motivated me to join clubs or be a part of campus life. I used to attend wasn't really high school, but I think middle school. It was called Bancroft Middle School in Los Angeles. and this particular teacher, she motivated me to essentially look into joining clubs to further my social skills. So I did so, and from that time I just been active in campus life through community college and up to now. And I'm always passionate about joining clubs and associations, and every single student that I come across, I tell him or her, you should really get involved in campus life. Don't just go to classes and go home, or classes to work. Really try to make an impact on campus, just to contribute to the on-campus community.
Were there ever any tough times, like any obstacles, like leading up to where you got today as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's some locations within CCLB that it's hard to travel, especially if there's places that you are unfamiliar. So I just simply ask for assistance, and you just gotta speak up as a student who has a disability. If you're unfamiliar with a certain location, you just have to speak up and ask for help. There's nothing wrong asking for help, because there is people out there that are willing to help out.
I like your optimism as well. Like, you were able to be resilient, and you haven't let a disability stop you. Do you have any tips for people who they feel a little bit pessimistic, like they're like, oh, like how is this gonna stop me from like getting to like what I had goals in mind, I wanted to do this, and like they're feeling a bit pessimistic stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I would just tell them, don't give up, and just be encouraged that there is people who are out there that do want to help, and just know that you're not alone. There is a support network that will support you, especially the disabled student services on campus, which is now the Bob Murphy Access Center at the Student Success Center building on campus. There's also the AIM Center, which is the Adaptive Technology Center on campus. We have faculty that will help you if you need accommodations for your classes. And we always should be positive and look forward, and how we can make an impact in others and in ourselves as well.
There's a question I always ask my guests, and it's a two-part question, but where do you see yourself after retirement, and what would you like your legacy to be?
I see myself in ministry, because after all, that's why I'm doing my religious studies here at CCLB. And I want to work with young adults or college students in campus ministries. Or if not, I want to work with the archdiocese, because I'm of the Catholic faith tradition, So I want to reach out to other young adult Catholics, and that's why I have my Catholic faith that I can, that I can depend on, because that's what motivates me every single time that I come to this campus, because I always thank God and my faith tradition, and I just hope to, contribute to others and get a career and, spreading the word of God.
So, I was wondering, what is the goal, like, after, do you intend to go after the BA? Do you imagine going for a higher degree, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking into to see if I can get my master's degree here at CCRB in religious studies, or maybe minor and something else, but I'm just right now focusing on graduating as a graduate student here on campus.
And what would you say are the benefits as well? Like you mentioned, the BMAC services and stuff.
Yes.
I learned late in community college that I have a learning disability.
Okay.
Like there were times where I struggled, especially with math, and I just reached a point where sometimes like family or friends did. I almost got like frustrated because like every now and then I'd become the subject of discussion, or it'd be like, how come it's taking you so long to finish your degree? So and so's got their degree. Why haven't you? And this and that. Like, I guess that what I'm trying to say is like, what do you say, or how do you deal when you have naysayers? Have you ever had to deal with something like that? Or like, I think they say toxic relationships and stuff like that.
I never really had any toxic relationships. If I did, I would just simply try to stay away from those type of relationships, and I just try to be with people who want to have positive relationships. I really never had anyone that was there to discourage me. I did have one individual who was working with me at the time in high school, and I was working with someone in the department that we have, which is a governmental agency that gives individuals or students like myself with disabilities with accommodations for school or work or whatever they need, but this one particular counselor, she thought that I wasn't ready or prepared to, go to college, and and she told me, well, after high school, I think you should just focus on getting a job, and just entirely, forget about going to college or what have you. But, I ended up not heeding that advice from that person, because I know that I know that I can do it, and I have confidence that I can go to college. So that's the only time that I can think that there was someone that attempted to discourage me, But for the most part, I always surrounded myself with friends and family members that, encouraged me to further my education.
Yeah, it's definitely. Oh, you're very optimistic.
Oh, thank you.
Um, what has been your most memorable moment in college as well?
I would say my memorable moment would be joining student government at my community college for the first time because I had never done student government in high school, and I was glad to represent the student body and the students at Rio Hondo. And from there, again, I just started to, be active and be passionate for campus life. And that's where I got the motivation to start my own club on campus.
Yeah, I remember. So this was a few years ago. I remember I saw you walking around campus at Cerritos during my time there, and you were, trying to start a club. And I thought that was pretty cool because, like I said, sometimes there are some people who they go to class and they go back home, but you've shown so much, dedication and commitment to being involved on campus and, go the extra mile. And it's quite a bit of a process to start a club and so forth. Tell me about your motivation and stuff.
Yeah, it is quite a process, to locate faculty member that would be willing to sponsor your club, 10 members, at least for at community college. But, if you really are motivated enough to start a club on campus, you will achieve the goal. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find a faculty or enough students to start the same organization that started at Rio Hondo at Cerritos College. But what I did is teamed up with another student when I came here at Cal State Long Beach, and we started a organization. We actually branched off from the Newman Club, and we started a group called Students for Life, which is our focus is basically pro-life and fostering of a cultural life here on campus, and so at first it was an idea. We were just talking about it, but eventually we decided, well, why not start an organization on campus?
And what would you say is the difference between like being in a club and being in student government and stuff like that? How do you go about like student government involvement?
I would say the differences would be like in student government, you're representing the student body and your constituents, and you're advocating for various resolutions. But in contrast with a club organization, starting a club, it takes process, like paperwork, drafting constitution and bylaws, and getting the people like your officers and members together to launch a club, and a club is more special interest, but then in student government, you're representing everyone. You're not just representing yourself.
And tell us about, you know, the importance of mentors. Have you had mentors even here in college?
Yeah, it is important to have mentors. You know, either here in school or in the community. It doesn't matter if it's from the clergy or from, you know, friends or family members. It's always important. It's always important to have mentors because your mentors will always support you and encourage you. Like I said, I had a mentor in high school from a teacher who was actually visually impaired, and he's the one that got me to learn how to read and write well.
You know, yeah, I can't imagine, you know, what it's like, you know, to live, you know, blind. Like, what is it like? I was wondering also, like, who has inspired you, like, as well? Like, did you, like, all of a sudden, like, research, like, oh, like, so-and-so was blind, like, say, like, Stevie Wonder and stuff, you know, that they went on to big things and stuff like that?
I would say, you know, like I said, it wasn't someone famous that really inspired me. It was more of a high school teacher that who inspired me to, you know, to live my life and just, you know, share my testimony to others.
What do you like to do also, like, on your free time?
You know, in my own time, obviously, again, I like to swim. I like to be with friends, you know, go to church. And I'm also pretty much active in the pro-life movement. So, and I try to attend pro-life related functions, you know, and I'm really am passionate about defending the unborn, and also I'm really active in the political sphere. So I'm a part of you know, the Turning Point USA chapter here on campus, and I also recently started a Young Americans for Freedom chapter, and just funny enough that we were actually tabling yesterday, and so, you know, I'm pretty politically active, and I'm also active when it comes to social issues.
How do you time manage, like, everything? Like, you have, like, so much going on.
You know, I just try to balance you know, my classes and my political social causes by just keeping track of what I'm doing, you know, mentally, and so I don't really like write down or anything like that. I just keep track on what I need to do, like for if I need to, you know, catch up on reading or do essay assignments for my classes, or if I'm gonna be tabling for a club on campus, you know, I just mentally tell myself, you know, what I need to prioritize first, you know. So.
Are there any misconceptions also that, you know, you feel people assume about, like, people who can't see or anything like that?
Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions, like people think that just because, you know, just because we don't have someone with us 24/7 that doesn't mean that we're not able to navigate around campus or any place else, you know. Because after all, we are always encouraged to be independent or try to be independent, you know. And also, you know, a lot of people think that we're asking for a leg up or we want self-pity from people, but that's not what we want. What we want is the same respect from from people, and we just want people to recognize us, you know, who we are, and you know, we just want to be recognized like any other person, you know.
And so your siblings, like, did you guys like have different interests? Like, did you guys go to study different professions?
I'm actually the first generation to go to college. Both of my sisters, they went to high school, but they ended up not going to college. At this time, they're working. And my brother, well, unfortunately, he's a completely different story. He you know, he has a lot of issues going on. That's what I can say, you know. But you know, my family is pretty much glad that what I'm doing, which is going to college and trying and just you know, making something out of myself, which is you know, what I'm trying to do.
You definitely are probably one of the most inspirational interviewees I've had
Oh,
on the show.
Thank you.
Wow. I was wondering also, how can people contact you as well?
You know, I'm basically on Facebook and on Twitter. If people want to find me on Facebook, they can search me through my first and last name, which is Jose, and then my last name is Espinoza with the Z. And if people want to find me on Twitter and follow me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is J Espinoza at CCRB, J Espinoza at CCRB. And they should be able to find me on Twitter.
Cool. Any closing statements for our audience members?
Yes, I just wanna let everyone, especially those who are listening to us at this moment, who are students, especially who are part of the Bob Murphy Access Center, you know, you can do it. Don't let anyone or any obstacle, you know, overcome you. Or don't be discouraged, you know, because as you can hear, I'm here, you know, doing my studies. I'm pretty active on campus, and I want to encourage everyone to try to be active on campus, make an impact on campus, and you know, yeah, and just you know, I want to encourage everyone to be positive, you know.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to be here on the Golden Spotlight.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes this episode. Remember that you can listen to my previous interviews. All my interviews, I archive them at www.robfloresmedia.com. I'll be posting this one soon. Until next time, folks.